Hello, my people. Good day to you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time zone you're listening to this, thank you for listening every single day, tuning in to listen to me on Daily Mind Shifts. My name is Michael Ojola for Mindset Transformation Africa, and on today's episode, I want us to talk about losing ourselves because of other people. Let me anchor today's episode on this statement. Do not lose yourself by tolerating too much from people that you want to keep. Don't lose yourself by tolerating too much from people that you just want to keep. So that is what I want you to think about. Let us sit with that statement for a moment. Let's think about it. Let's marinate on it. I want you to meditate for 10 seconds. That's not too much to ask, because I know we've all been there. We've all been there. At some point, we've bent ourselves out of shape. We've walked on eggshells. We've swallowed our feelings just to keep the peace with someone we couldn't bear to lose. Maybe it was a lover, a partner, a friend, a boss, or even a family member. But here's the hard truth. When you sacrifice too much of yourself to keep someone else in your life, you don't just lose them, you lose you. And that is, I believe, the most valuable relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. See, let's ask ourselves this question. Why do we tolerate too much? Why do we tend to bend ourselves too much because of some other people? I think the first is the fear of loss. I think the first one is the fear of loss. That's why we tolerate some behavior that we know deep down is not okay. The fear of losing that person. We fear losing the person. We fear losing the connection or even the idea of what we thought the relationship could be. Sometimes the fear of being alone feels more unbearable than the discomfort of staying with that person. Also, there is something around the hope for change. We tell ourselves they did not mean it. Maybe next time will be different. I think it's because they are angry. That's why they said this. That's why they did this. We hope for a change. We secretly hope for a change. We cling to the hope that things will get better. Even when the patterns even when the patterns tells us otherwise, we hope that something will change, and we have low self-worth. Sometimes the reason we tolerate other people that much is because we don't have good self-esteem. We have low self-worth. We have low self-esteem. When we don't truly value ourselves, we settle. We settle for treatment that reflects that particular dynamics of thought. We accept less than we deserve because we are convinced, and we've convinced ourselves that we are worth less, that is all we are worth. And also there is something around social conditioning. Society often glorifies self-sacrifice, especially in certain roles, like a husband, like a wife, like being a loyal friend, a devoted partner, or a dutiful child. We are told to forgive endlessly, to compromise always, and to prioritize other people before ourselves. But here's the thing, all right? There is a difference between compromise and losing yourself. Let me repeat that. There is a mighty and massive difference between compromise and losing yourself. Compromise is healthy. It's okay. Self-abandonment is not. Compromise is all right. It's healthy. That's how you keep and sustain good and valuable relationship. But when you abandon yourself, that is not good. That is not all right at all. So there is a cost that is associated with we tolerating too much. Number one is erosion of self-respect. You lose self-respect for yourself. When you consistently let things slide, you send a message to yourself that your feelings and your needs do not matter. And over time, this chips away at your self-esteem, at your self-worth, and before you know it, you lose self-respect. Also, emotional burnout will happen. When you tolerate too much, you burn out emotionally. See, carrying the weight of someone else's disrespect, neglect, or mistreatment is exhausting. It drains your emotional energy. It leaves you feeling depleted. It leaves you feeling resentful. You need to watch out for that. And we have the loss of identity. The more you shrink yourself to fit someone else's expectations or demands, the more you lose touch with who you are. You become a version of yourself that is tailored only to their comfort and not to your personal truth and not to your purpose or your identity. And eventually you miss opportunities. See, while you are busy holding on to people who don't value you, you are closing the door to relationships and to opportunities that could elevate you, that could lift you up, and that could honor you. There are boundaries. There are boundaries to love. Do you understand me? There are boundaries that must be set. See, let me make this clear. Setting boundaries is not an act of hostility. It is an act of love. You love yourself, especially love for yourself, and believe it or not, love for the other person. See, if you don't set boundaries for other people, especially the people that you think you care about, that means you really don't love them. See, when we set boundaries, we are saying, I value myself enough to protect my peace, and I value you enough to communicate honestly what I like and what I don't like. But let me be real with you. Setting boundaries can be uncomfortable, especially when you are not used to it. People may push back. They will even definitely push back. They might accuse you of being selfish, of being dramatic. See, that is okay. It's okay to be accused of that. So far you are not that. It's okay. It's just accusation. Boundaries are not about controlling how other people respond. No. They are about taking responsibility for how you are treated and how you will accept to be treated. There is also a difference between love and tolerance. One of the biggest misconceptions is that love means tolerating anything and everything. And that is not true. True love, whether it is for a partner, a friend, or a family member, doesn't just ask you to abandon yourself. No. Real love respects boundaries. Real love values mutual respect. Real love doesn't require you to tolerate disrespect or mistreatment. On the flip side, tolerance without boundaries is not even love. It is fear. The fear of confrontation, the fear of rejection, the fear of loss. It is fear. What is the point of holding on to a relationship if it costs you your peace and your self-respect? It doesn't make any sense. So let's talk a little bit about how to stop losing yourself. The number one thing I will tell you straight out of the bat is know your non-negotiables. Before you can set boundaries, you need to know what they are. What are your non-negotiables? What behaviors or situations cross the line for you? Maybe it is disrespect, maybe it is dishonesty, maybe it is a lack of effort. Make sure you know them. Whatever it is, get clear on it. Get clear on them. Write it down somewhere if you need to, so you don't forget your non-negotiables. And also listen to your gut feeling. Your intuition is a powerful guide. It's not always correct, but it is a powerful guide. If something feels off, you don't need to just believe it is off. Just pay attention to it. It's data, it's feedback. Pay attention to that feeling. Don't dismiss your feelings and don't just believe them without questioning. Don't dismiss them, but make sure you question them. Take note of them. Just because somebody else says you are overreacting doesn't mean you are. You might be, but it doesn't necessarily mean you are. So take note and listen to your intuition and your gut. Communicate clearly. You will need that because when you set boundaries, you need to communicate them. Boundaries are not about ultimatums or accusations. No, they are about clear and honest communication. For example, instead of saying you are so disrespectful, you can say, I feel hurt when you interrupted me earlier. I need to feel heard in our conversations. You can say that, even though I don't say this, all right? But you can say that, all right? Be willing also to walk away. This is the hardest part, but it is important. It is important. It is one of the most empowering things you can do. Be willing to walk away. If someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, you have to be willing to walk away from them. Holding on to them is not worth losing yourself. And finally, surround yourself with people that really support you. Find people who respect you. Find people who uplift you. When you're surrounded by healthy relationships, it becomes easier. All right? It is easier to recognize unhealthy ones. have the strength to choose you. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you don't care about other people. It means you care about yourself enough to prioritize your well-being, and that takes strength. You might feel guilt, you might feel doubt, but remember, every time you choose yourself, you are teaching other people how to treat you. You're setting the standard for what you will and will not accept, and the people who truly value you, they will rise up to meet your standards. See, life is too short for you to lose yourself trying to keep people who don't respect you. Protect your peace today. Honor your boundaries today. And remember, the right relationship will never ask